Welcome back to The PA is In. I'm Tracy Bingman. I'm a PA, negotiation coach, business coach, and a human who will do almost anything to avoid opening my inbox. And I'm saying that out loud because today's episode is about the kind of business move that can give you your brain back and also a business idea for you on the other side of something that you can do with tons of flexibility. If you've ever thought to yourself, I need more income, but I'm absolutely not working any more shifts. Or I want a side hustle, but I don't want to do something like start an Etsy shop where I have to ship a physical product, or worse yet, be creative enough to make a physical product, and I'm not willing to become an influencer. Where you've thought, I love my job, but I need a little more margin, more time, more flexibility, more breathing room. How can I earn income from home, from the laptop that I already own? You're going to want to listen really closely because today's guest is Sarah Miller. She's an ICU PA, a mom of two, and she is the single person who runs the back end of my business so smoothly that people tell me that our podcast process is seamless, and I do zero of that work. It used to be not seamless at all. Sarah is my most repeated guest for a very important reason. She built a virtual assistant business that fits into real life. She works in the ICU, night shifts, part-time in the evening. She has kids. She's married to a firefighter who also does shift work, all the things. And she did it with basically zero overhead. Like I said, the laptop she already owns and a willingness to just start. Inside of this conversation, we're getting into how Sarah stumbled into VA work without even knowing what a VA or virtual assistant was, what VAs actually do, and what most people are doing the hard way, how she charges, hourly, packages, a retainer, and what she earns with just a few clients working a handful of hours each week. Also, why sales doesn't have to feel like those sleazy, hey girl, cold DMs and digital door knocking. If you're a clinician who wants to build something that supports your life, not something that becomes another job that drains your time and energy, this is your episode. Welcome to The PA is In, the show created by PAs for PAs, where codependency with your supervising physician is a thing of the past, optimal team practice is the future, and physician associate has taken the place of physician assistant as the professional title of choice. I'm Tracy Bingman, and I'm obsessed with redefining what success as a PA looks like and what it feels like. Here you'll find the mindset shifts, systems, and processes I use to escape healthcare burnout and integrate my work into my life. Work-life balance is a myth, and an integrated life where you thrive professionally, not a balancing act, is the goal here. My mission is to help you to grow into a unicorn PA who loves their job, has abundant energy, time to spare, and work-optional financial freedom. The PA is in. Sarah, welcome back to the show. I think you are our most repeated guest.
Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure being here, and it's such an honor to keep coming back as a guest. So thank you.
All right, introduce yourself and tell us about what you do, I would say like professionally, and then also tell us what you do in your business.
My name is Sarah. I am married. I think my husband and I have been married for 7 years now. 8 years, could be 8. We have 2 little boys. One is our oldest boy is going to turn 6 next week, and then our younger son is 3.5. We live in South Central PA, in very rural PA. My husband's a firefighter, and I work as an ICU PA. I've been a critical care PA for the vast majority of my career. I work part-time. I just do part-time nights in the hospital. And then I'm also a business owner. I have started a virtual assistant business just over 5 years ago. And I know that's the big thing that we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So I love this origin story of how you got started as a VA. So tell us about how that came up and did you even know what a VA was before you got tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, I think you should do this?
Yes. Yeah. That's the funny part of the story. I didn't even know what a VA was. I wasn't looking to be a VA. It fell in my lap and just happened. It was an answer to prayer. It just happened serendipitously. I knew even before my husband and I were married, we had talked about when we have kids one day, I want to go part time. Like we had planned that. We had talked about that. That was really important to me. I still want to keep working as a PA. I love being a PA, but I don't want to work full time. I want to be able to spend a lot of time at home with the kids and being a mom. So we had talked about it. We had planned it financially. We knew it was going to be fine. I talked about it with my work, like, and got it all, all scheduled out. And so after our first son was born and I went part time, my income cut by about a third, maybe a little less than a third because of the night shift differential and everything. Um, so, and like I said, financially we were fine, but I just kept thinking like it would be nice if I could do something to bridge the gap a little bit. Like we don't have a huge cushion of money every month like we used to. So, I could always pick up an extra shift, but it's harder now with having a baby at home and my husband does shift work. I work my shifts around him, so it was more difficult of because we basically, do our own childcare. It's just one of the two of us is home with our kids. When my son was a little baby, the first few months of his life, my mom actually would come up on days where our shifts overlapped a little bit to help out, which was great, but she couldn't keep doing that forever. So picking up extra shifts was hard. So I looked at what else is there something I can do from home? So I looked at, could I open an Etsy shop? But I'm not super creative, crafty. What can I make to sell on Etsy? I kind of looked into digital products a little bit. Like, can I make something that way? I found a proofreading course and I was like, okay, this is right up my alley. I love proofreading, editing. It's something I'd always done. So I started this course. But in the meantime, I was also part of this online community. It was run by a woman who was an ex hedge fund manager who taught personal finance for women and specifically moms. And Tracy, I know you and I have talked about this before. We are both personal finance nerds. So when I found her on the internet, I was like, oh, these are my people. I love this space. So she did a couple online summits, and I was involved in both those summits and actively participated throughout them. And she started a paid membership community and founding member of that, and like I just loved it and was very active and involved. So, she knew me through the internet and through all of this. So one day she reached out to me and said, "Hey, my VA is leaving. Would you want to join my team and be our VA?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can't believe it. Like this is something I'm looking for, something that I can do from home to join her team and her business." I really admired what she did. She's a very authentic person. But I told her, I was like, I don't even really know what is a VA, a virtual assistant. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that does. I don't have any specific training in that or education in that. And she's like, "Sarah, calm down. You're a PA. PAs can do anything. So if you can be a PA, you can work in the ICU, 100% can do this. I'll teach you how to do it." So like, okay, sure, let's do it. So I learned what a virtual assistant is. It's just a person who helps other, usually business owners, through the internet. And so you can do things. What I specialize in is administrative support. So doing things like calendar scheduling, email management, customer service. I do stuff, with a couple different clients, including you, Tracy, with kind of podcast managing and setting up my client to be on other podcasts, have guests for their podcast, doing things like proofreading, editing. For her, I helped run her online membership, just any kind of like admin back end tasks. So she taught me the systems that she used and how to do that. And I loved it. It was just what I was looking for. If I can do something on my own hours, I'm working night shift in the hospital, but I can kind of set this up, at other times when the baby's napping, when the baby's playing in his little playpen next to me. These are simple things that I can do. I can use a different part of my brain than my PA brain, which is kind of nice to kind of use some different skills, different side of my brain, although there is some overlap. Like ask any of my PA colleagues, they will tell you how much I love efficiency and making things smooth and streamlined and doing things right the first time. And so that's what I bring to my clients is making things efficient and streamlined. And I just love doing that for people. So that's how I got started. And then from there, after working with her for about a year, I was like, I really love this. I love all these things about it. And I want to create a business from it. So I figured out, how do I start an LLC, created a business, started getting other clients. And that was just over 5 years ago. So since about November of 2020, that's when I started. And then it has grown from there.
So speaking of how it has grown from there, I am a proud client of Sarah's. I would say There's about a 90% chance if you got an email from me in the last 3 years that it wasn't from me, that it was from Sarah, either pitching podcast guests, replying to inquiries from clients there. I rarely check my email, which I love because there is a lot of admin in life, right? There's a lot of admin like from your teacher, your kid's teacher emailing you or, someone following up on something. And my zone of genius as an entrepreneur is to be the one having all of these ideas, iterating those, creating the things, coaching, doing the videos, doing things like having this conversation. And the areas that I was really neglecting in my business were sending an email to our former guests saying your podcast episode is live and here's how you can share it with your following. And it has been really awesome to have some of those things systematized. And honestly, it's none of my business. I don't know. It's part of my business, but it's none of my business. I don't worry about it. I know you're taking care of it. I know you're pitching the guest, landing the guest, kindly reminding me that I need to send questions to the guest. And then that day you send a follow-up email to them. And I've had so many people who come on the show who say, man, this process is seamless. And zero people said that before Sarah showed up in my life and in my business. So I love this story of how you became my VA and the beauty of this pitch, which really wasn't a pitch at all. So tell everyone how you became my virtual assistant way back in the day.
Yes, our story of how we got together. um, and yeah, like you said, that's what I love about being a VA is my zone of genius is kind of let doing all the back end tasks so the wheels of the business can keep running. That's my zone of genius to let my client focus on her zone of genius, being the face of the business, being creative, running the business, doing the things that she loves to do, putting that out there. You don't have time to do that when you're getting bogged down with all the back end things. So, how Tracy and I think how we very first met, we were both in the PA Moms Facebook group. And years ago, you had posted a couple of freebies that you had created. Like I remember one of them was core values and something else. I don't remember what the other one was. But you posted both of those. I downloaded them, I don't know, like 2 months later, I finally actually read them. I was like, oh, these are great resources. It really made me think about it. And I remember core values because I had my husband look through it too and like, let's compare, let's discuss, let's talk about family values. It led to this great thing in our family and in our own life. So I initially just emailed you just to say, hey, I love these resources that you created. I think they're great. Just thank you so much for putting it out there. Which, side note to anyone listening to this, if you ever listen to a podcast, download a freebie from someone's website, get a really cool email from someone, just write them back, even if it's one sentence to say, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. This was cool. I thought it was nice. Just, it can be one sentence. As someone who's in the email inbox of several entrepreneurs of varying degrees of business size, it is so rare to get an email from someone to say, thank you. I liked this. This was helpful. So, just a side note, if that ever happens to you, it's great to send it out there.
The thing about being a creator and about putting content out on the internet is it feels like you're yelling into the void, and you can see downloads and impressions and like the amount of time someone watched or listened to an episode, but there is nothing like a message from someone that said, "Hey, I listened to this and shared it with a friend. I listened to this and my husband listened to it and he was also burned out. And this changed the way that we think about life and about work." I would rather get that email than an email inquiring about a paid client. It's so life giving because you're just pouring into the internet, you're giving this away, you're doing this service so that people know you, so that you have brand recognition, so eventually they'll pay you for something down the line, but also because you believe in it deeply and it's because something, it's something that matters to you. So saying thank you, so good. Do it on LinkedIn, do it on the internet. You can find, the information to contact people. It's life-giving to content creators and to people who are running businesses in that online space.
So, when I did that for you, it truly was just an authentic email. Thank you, person to person, mom to mom, like human to human. It was not a pitch. It was just a truly authentic thank you. But to put it out there, it did make me stand out from her millions of other followers, podcast listeners, email subscribers, because I was one of the few people who ever emailed back. And like with my very first VA client who was like, hey, told me what a VA was and taught me how to do this. she chose me from the hundreds of members in her community because I was so active and so involved. And truly, I'm not saying to other people like, oh, be active and involved and email people for your own gain. And so one day you'll get something from it. Like, okay, don't do that. But when you're active, when you're involved, when you put your voice out there, when you step up, people see you and recognize you. And so it does set you apart. So I think do it from a place of authenticity and, being true to yourself and like a true connection with someone, but also it truly does set you apart. So that's how Tracy and I first met, was truly I just sent her an email of like, hey, thanks, these were great resources. Then I think I sent another follow-up email and was like, oh, by the way, like I was digging into this more. And I think I warned you in the email of like, hey, I'm a VA. I'm like, I love proofreading things. This is kind of what I do. And I noticed a couple just like grammar errors and like kind of like, I think you had like duplicated a paragraph or something like that, or labeled thing. You did like number one and number one, then number two, three. Like it was just like little things like that. So I think I prefaced the email of like, hey, I noticed a couple just like little grammatical errors. I was like, if you want to hear about them, keep reading. If you'd rather not and it doesn't bother you, not a big thing to you, you're not in the right headspace. Like I was like, I'm not trying to critique you or like be mean about it. It's like, don't keep reading if you don't want to keep reading this email. But if you want to keep reading, read on. And like, here's just a couple of things I noticed. Because and it really and truly it also was not me trying to pitch you or like complain about things really. But like, hey, I think what you're creating, what you're doing is so great. And I want to make it even greater. I want to make it like just crystal clear, beautiful, because it already is great. So like, let's make sure like it truly is top tier. Like that's really where I was coming from of like, how can we make this even better? And so when you emailed back, I think you were like, oh dang, like I hate when like it's not perfect. Like I think you told me later of like, I felt like inside like, oh no. But that's how we connect of like, oh yeah, hey, that's that is something that I can improve, and hey, I need some help. And then from there, I think you had, and again, like you had sent out, I think maybe said it on your podcast, but I think also sent in an email of, hey, I'm looking for new guests for my podcast. If you know anyone who'll be good, let me know. So again, I'm following up, I'm answering, I'm putting myself out there to connect with you of, hey, here's another woman entrepreneur. You guys have a lot of overlap. I think she could be your guest. I think you could probably be a good guest on hers, and I sent an email connecting the two of you. And I think after that email, you were like, wow, Sarah, like you do just a great job of like connecting and sending and doing all this stuff. I think you told me, it was like, you could create a business from this. Like you could do this for a living. And I was like, well, I kind of do this for a living because I'm a VA. And you're like, oh my gosh, great. Like one day when I'm ready, when the business at, this whatever level, and I'm ready to hire on a VA, I'm going to call you. And then that's what happened was, a little while after that, you sent me a message and was like, hey, I'm ready for a VA. Like, let's do this. And then it has just grown from there.
And this is the thing that I think holds so many people back when it comes to entrepreneurship, because we think because we're clinicians, we're not good salespeople. And the sales word is like, sale is a 4-letter word. You're like, think, oh, I have to make a sale. I have to pitch people. I have to sell myself. I have to land a client. I have to do a discovery call with them. And then I have to like pitch them at the end of the call. Like I don't think we had ever talked on the phone at that point. We had emailed back and forth. At one point, I think I said to you, hey, can you look this over for me? And you said, yeah, that's actually the kind of thing I charge for. And I was like, great, perfect. Like some time had gone by and you were like, honestly, I would look it over for free, but like I do charge people for it. And I was like, how much do like, what's your hourly rate? Like, what would you charge for? Is it per hour? Is it per page? Like, how does this work? Because I had never engaged the service of a virtual assistant before. And this was a thing that, so in this case, I'm the client and you're the business owner. And there was no part about this like warming up discussion, sort of even you saying, hey, I do this, and me making a note of that and thinking I'll call her when I make money, right? When I start really cash flowing and have the bandwidth for that. There was no part at which I felt like, oh, I'm getting sold to. Like you get that message on LinkedIn and it's like, hey, thanks so much for connecting. Plop of my paragraph of like, I see you're a coach. I help coaches make $1 million a day. Click here. Here's how. Like where it's just like starting with the bazooka. Like, you're like, hi, we're connected. Like, let me just, as many people as I can pitch. Hopefully some of them will say yes. This was the exact opposite of a cold call. So if you think of a cold call, it's like I pick up the phone, I call someone on my bank, the bank is cold calling people, does anyone need to refinance their mortgage? And they just call down the line and they have no established relationship with these people and they're just calling and calling. It was so warm. It was so warm. And we now have been working together for years. And it's hard for me to imagine a time when we didn't have this like very friendly, like, you are one of the people that like I will voice message, I will text you, I am Slack messaging you, I never email you, but like because you're in my inbox and you would be checking that email anyway, so that's kind of weird. But we have this like I will call you if I'm in the car, you'll call me on your way home from work. We talk about life, we talk about business, and it is this very just natural relationship that has grown. And I want to remind people that like it doesn't have to be business or pleasure. It doesn't have to be, this is a client, I treat them professionally, like this is the way. Like we are now friends and colleagues. We are shoulder to shoulder in healthcare. We are shoulder to shoulder in business. And over the years, you have taken on more and more in terms of what you do for my business, and your compensation has changed as a part of that. So, can you tell me about how you're paid? Is it a package? Is it a retainer? Is it hours per month? Like, how does that look for someone who's like, hey, I could do that, but I could only do 10 or 20 hours a month. I could only do this. What does that look like?
Yes, that's so well said. Yes. That I and that's what I really enjoy doing and that I can give to my clients is to free up that brain space, free up the mental load, let me take on the things that I do enjoy doing. And that's why like we can work so well together is there's things that I really enjoy, like email management and scheduling and kind of organizing everything. I just love doing it and you hate it and just like, oh, like a thing that needs to be done, but I don't love it, but let me like that way you can do the things you love, I do things I love, and it just synergistically works beautifully
Are
together.
you feeling stuck, burned out, or craving a little more flexibility and financial freedom? You're not alone. So many clinicians feel trapped in the grind, overworked, underpaid, and unsure how to pivot. But here's the truth: your skills are valuable beyond the clinic. That's why I created the 48 Side Gig Ideas for Healthcare Providers Guide, a free PDF packed with practical, creative, and immediately cash generating ideas that you can start right now. From telehealth to medical writing and patient advocacy to app development, and even a little note on podcasting, these things aren't fluff. These are real, proven opportunities that other providers are already doing. You don't have to figure it out alone. This guide will help you explore new passions, learn how to make extra money, and make the first step towards multiple income streams and building the life and career you actually want. Download your free copy today at tracybinghamon.com/gig or click the link in the show notes and start creating financial freedom and cash flow flexibility on your own terms. Because you, my friend, are more than just your clinical job, and taking the first step to generating alternative revenue streams is waiting for you inside the Side Gig Guide. Find it now in the show notes.
Most VAs are paid hourly. That's very classic for VAs, and that's how I started. When I started 5 years ago, like the going beginner rate for VA was $20 to $25 an hour. It's probably come up since then. I would say like a solid $25 an hour, maybe up to $25, $30 an hour. It's probably a solid beginner rate for VAs. But I've also grown my business and expanded what I do. A classic VA is someone who, basically checks the boxes. Here's a list of tasks that I need done. Check, check, check. Can you do them? Like, hey, can you go through my email every 24 hours, respond to people, delete junk emails? Can you make sure that, all the clients on my list get this, mailing or whatever, and just and a lot of check boxes, and like that's it. For me, even almost from the beginning, and it's something that I love, and it's definitely what I've evolved with my clients is I'm not a basic VA who just does that. I'm more of an executive assistant, an integrator, because of just again how I am of I like seeing big picture and okay, yes, here's like the tasks that you want me to do as the VA, and you might have other people on your team who are doing different things, but how does this all fit together? How do all these different parts of your business fit together one big picture? And again, for me, what I love is I'll create systems for people of here's how to efficiently, seamlessly integrate all of these, put them all together so they all make sense. So I'm always looking at big picture and and giving kind of more of that. So it's more of a high level service that I provide. Almost like there's also online business managers. I'm more akin to that, definitely at this level of like, because I'm looking at the business as a whole, the whole big picture. And again, and what I like, and especially like Tracy and I are great examples of this, that I do to varying degrees with other clients of like, yes, I'm shoulder to shoulder. This is her business. This is what she is running, but I am right there behind her of how can we make this even better? How can we grow this? I'm right there with you as not quite a business partner, but like I want to be on that level of how is the whole business working. So my rates have gone up over the years. Now my hourly rate is $38 an hour. Um, but I set up different packages for people too. And you can create it as like, you can create a package which equals your hourly rate. You can do packages that like, hey, if you will kind of prepay for a package of say, I'll do 10 hours a month. Pay me for that. I'll give you a little discount. You're always paying for 10 hours a month. It depends how you want to set it up. Some people set it up as saying, they'll track how many hours they're doing. If you bought this package, they might carry over hours into the next month, or they might say, hey, you use 9 hours and like such is life. You pay me for 10 and next month, maybe I'll work a couple more hours and it kind of evens out. You can do that. You can also, I've done projects for people before where someone needed a VA, some kind of online assistant just for one project, like saying, hey, I'm doing like an online summit, like a 2-day summit or something like that. And I just need someone to help like kind of, manage the Facebook group, answer questions when they come up, make sure people are signed up for it, moderate things, so just for this. Or like I'm just starting a podcast and I kind of want to make sure like the systems are set up right. Like you were saying before, how we do with yours of like kind of what emails are we doing? Maybe give me kind of a first overview of what kind of guests that I could have, give me a bunch of options for them and kind of just get it all set up, get it off the ground. And that's all I really need. I'll take it from there. So those are different projects that I've worked on and just done, hey, here for this project, I would charge you, $500. I would charge you $750, whatever I think. And a lot of times how I look at it is number one, and it's easier for me now, having done this for 5 years. I know how much time it would take for me to like set up a podcast, for me to help you run a 1 or 2 day like online summit. I know how much time that takes, especially with the things that you're asking for. It's really hard. It'd be really, really hard if you're brand new to be like, I have no idea what to charge for this or how much time it would take. So I know like, hey, this is going to take me 20 hours to do this. This is going to take me like 40 hours to do this, and kind of think about that with my hourly rate and kind of make a package from that. Because, and again, it's not just, especially for me being 5 years in with my experience and knowledge at this point, same thing for any type of business job that you have. Like, it's not just the hourly rate that you're paying, it's not just hours worked, but what am I bringing to this? Because yes, something that would have taken me 5 hours 3 years ago, now might only take me 2 hours because I'm just so much faster at it. I've become more efficient. I'm more used to doing it. So like that's still like, even though it would take me less time, like I'm giving you all my knowledge. And so that comes into when I factor in if I'm doing like a project or something like that.
Yeah. So the way that we do it in my business and my relationship with Sarah is that I am a retainer client. Is that what we call me? I'm on retainer. I'm retaining you. I'm retaining you, which sounds very like lawyerly. I'm retaining you for your services. And the expectation is that you do X number of hours a month. And periodically you will say to me, hey, I think I need more work, or you need to pay me less. Or, hey, I've been going over my hours consistently. Like I need to work more hours, or do you want to take some of these tasks? So it has been very fluid over the years in terms of, hey, we need more. We're in a launch. We're launching a course. We're launching a coaching program where I know I'm going to lean on you more. And I'm like, okay, do as many hours as you need to do to get this done. Invoice me at the end of the month, whatever I went over your normal 10, 15 hours a month, whatever we're at that point. And the other thing that I love is that I feel like when you're here, I don't have to worry about the day-to-day. So I am still writing the majority of the copy, drafting the podcast episodes, recording them. I am doing the creating, the ideating of those things. But you are emailing the person the link to record, like you are setting this up for yourself so that you can, be the guest on the show. And then I am like, here's what we're going to talk about. So we know. But when you take those tasks off of my plate, I can think more about working on the business, not just in the business. So I can think about where we're going. I can think about, and I do think about it as you and I, where we are going, where we are going to take our clients, where we're going to go with the direction of this business. And I have the ability to think about those things because I don't have to think about, like, here's a great example. When someone emails and says, hey, I want to work with you, or I'd like to partner and sponsor the show, I always have a call with them unless it's an established sponsor that I'm just like, we're re-upping. So I will talk to them. I will make sure that we're aligned, that I like the product, that I can test the product, try it out, make sure that it's something that I believe in. And I had set up a bunch of those meetings as we're filling up our sponsorship slots. Sponsor the show if you're listening and you want to reach clinicians who are listening as well. Email Sarah. And in that Calendly link that we use for our scheduling software, it was supposed to link a Zoom, and it was not linking a Zoom. And every time someone booked a meeting, it had this little like error, like no Zoom found, and then it's like, I have to email them. Do you want to call? Can I send you a Google Meet link? Do you want a Zoom? Whatever. And without even me asking, like, I saw it. I was in the middle of a weekend clinic and I thought I should fix that. I should fix that. I should put that on my list of things to fix. And you just like Slack messaged me, like, by the way, I fixed the Calendly. All of it is up to date. Everyone is getting a Zoom notification. Like, the people who didn't get one, their phone numbers are in, they're okay with the call. Like, it's handled. And so I can then think about prepping for that meeting in a way that I'm going to show up well. I don't have to think about, oh, I really need to remember to tell that person, like, we are going to Zoom or we're going to FaceTime or we're going to call. It's handled. And it's like, I don't have to think about the nitty gritty. I can think about the big ideas, the growth, the direction. And that's been huge for me.
That's a perfect example of what I like to provide. What I want to be doing as an executive assistant in someone's business is I want you as the client, as the business owner, to be able to focus on the call itself. What are you creating for this person? What services are you offering? What are you going to build together with this person? How are you going to help them in their coaching? Whatever it is, I want you to think about the thing itself, not how will we make this happen? Will the email get sent out? Will the recording link get sent? How, like, all these, that's a perfect example of like the back end things that I automatically do. And it's a good example too of after, especially now we've been working together for years. I think it's akin to if you've been working with the same supervising physician for years, like you as the PA and your physician, each other, you've worked together for years, each other's strengths and weaknesses. And this is how I've been with my physicians, of like, they just let me run with it. Like, you do your thing. I trust you. That, they say, I know you'll come to me, Sarah, if you have questions, concerns about a patient, kind of get stuck. What am I missing? Like, you'll come to me when you need me. Otherwise, go for it and go ahead and do the thing. And that's what I want to provide with my clients. And Tracy, like, since you and I worked together for years, other clients I've had that we've worked together for years, of, I know that you trust me to just go ahead and do the thing and take care of it. Like, if we get emails from people pitching a guest or a sponsor and it's like something like really random and way out there, I feel comfortable, and I know that you feel comfortable with me just making the decision of no thanks, this is not even a thing. And I can do like the initial vetting, and then if it gets to the stage of like, I think this person would be good, or even like, I don't think this would be great, but what do you think, Tracy? At that, like, I vet them and kind of go through that first layer and then give them to you, Tracy, of like, okay, officially say yes or no to like this crop of people. So that's what I like to do, to take that big load off of my clients. They don't have to sift through all of this initial junk, and they can get kind of like the cleaner version of things and how we make it better from there, and then keep moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, you're like the bouncer of the inbox, right? You're like, no, you're not getting to her, right? Like, this isn't getting through. We're not, like, we get, emails from people who are like, I can optimize your YouTube. And I'm just like, no, that's not our game. We're not going to pay someone to do that. And you know that. So you delete them, you say no thanks. And the other thing that has been super helpful is that in any business, you're going to have some of the same questions again and again, right? So someone's going to be like, I heard, and I'm wondering how coaching works, or I'm burned out and I'm wondering what coaching programs you have or what that looks like. And instead of me again and again saying to that person, oh, sentence about how I'm sorry that you're feeling burned out, like sentence about how I know how, to empathize with that. I was too burned out. Like, here's how you work with me. You have a template that you personalize to that person. And then you say, like, here's how to set up a call. Here's the rates. Here are the things. And I don't even sometimes know. Sometimes they just pop up on my calendar, and then I can look in the inbox, or you'll say, hey, so-and-so is dealing with this. This is what this call is on Tuesday. This is what you can expect from them. So I get the Reader's Digest, and then I go into that call not having to have done this back and forth, and you have done all of that back and forth sort of on my behalf. Really, the only emails that I personally read or send are ones that you put in the Slack channel and say one of two things. One, hey, this is someone who's really grateful and they're sending you this thank you note and I think you need to read it. Or sometimes you'll just copy paste, like, here's what she said. I said, great. We're so happy to hear she got the raise. Amazing. We're cheering her on, yada, yada. And the second thing is the tone of this email seems like this is someone that you know. Like, this is your friend emailing you. This is like a student that you had years ago who's emailing you. I think maybe you want to field this one yourself. This is your former college roommate. This is someone who you know, and then I will take those emails. But I feel so much lighter as a business owner. There's so much responsibility. There's so much mental load. There's so many decisions to be made that if I can have a trusted colleague who is going to make some of those decisions for me, and like, better yet, you enjoy it. Like, I dread opening the inbox.
Are you confident you know where your next dollar should go? 403B, 457, HSA, or Roth? There are so many options. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming. A lot of providers aren't sure if their investment mix is optimized, if they're contributing enough to their investment accounts, or if they're paying too much in taxes. Meet Caleb Pepperday, a fee-only financial planner and founder of Advanced Practice Planning, LLC. Caleb helps PAs create a clear plan of action that allows them to fast-track their path to work optional living, all while keeping more of what they earn today. Caleb's process identifies the strategies that make the most sense for each PA situation and provides step-by-step guidance to put them into action. For our listeners, Caleb is offering a free one-on-one consultation where he will provide feedback on the steps you've taken in your own financial situation and if you're on track to achieve your goals. Caleb will also help you to determine if your situation warrants needing to work with a financial planner or if you're on track doing it by yourself. Head to advancedpracticeplanning.com/FI to grab your free consultation time slot. These consultations are capped each week to keep turnaround fast. That's advancedpracticeplanning.com/FI.
Advanced Practice Planning, LLC is a registered investment advisor in Montana and Pennsylvania. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Advanced Practice Planning, LLC and its representatives are properly registered or exempt from registration. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. This advertisement is for informational purposes only and does not constitute individualized advice or a guarantee that you will achieve a desired result. All topics discussed in this podcast are the opinion of the podcast host and not of Advanced Practice Planning, LLC, or its advisors.
So if you are listening and you are an entrepreneur and there is something that you dread and you know it needs to be done and you know you need to make these pitches or emails or whatever, can you outsource that? Can you find someone who doesn't hate that task and pay them to do it enthusiastically and well? Having an outsourced partner who does something enthusiastically and well is so much better than you doing it poorly or procrastinating, or if you're anything like me, like never doing it because it makes you nervous or you just don't like it. It's better to have someone do it than no one to do it if it's a crucial task. If it's not a crucial task, don't do it. But it's good to outsource and have someone who you can trust. So if you're willing to give us some transparency in terms of, you told us your hourly rate, how many hours are you doing? How much is this business contributing to your household in terms of like what you're taking home? And also, what's the overhead? Like, what are you spending money on as an entrepreneur yourself?
Yeah, good questions. So right now I have 3 main clients, regularly every month doing things with them. And for each of them, it's about 10-ish hours a month, 10 to 15 hours, I would say, for a couple of them. Like you, Tracer, closer to like 12 to 15 a month. So 10 to 15 hours a month for 3 clients. And that's kind of where, for me, I found is like my happy space. if I took in another client at like another 10 to 20 hours a month, like that to me is kind of pushing it over the edge of like, okay, now I'm spending so much time doing this. Plus I'm still working as an ICUPA. Plus I'm still a mom. Like, plus I still have a life. Like, so for me, I found that like 3 clients at this number of hours is good for me. So that equates to about, I don't know, what is that? I think so, I don't know, you could do the math of like $38 a month times, 10 to 15 hours per client. I have 3 clients. So it's anywhere from like $10 to $15,000 a year. I'm just thinking of like end of year, because especially now that like it's January that we're recording this, so taxes are coming up. So I would say over the past few years that I've been doing this business, $10 to $15,000 a year has been probably my average take home salary from my side business. So is it replacing that loss? Like my original goal was like replace my lost income, like that third of an income I was losing going from full time to part time as a PA. No, I am nowhere close to that. I am not up there. But for me, it's also fine. Like again, financially, we're fine. It's not like we need that money to live. But it gives like a little extra cushion, a little extra wiggle room of like, do we want to contribute more to investments? We can just use this money for all our vacations. Like, and again, it's just like that extra money. And it's something that I truly just enjoy. And 6 years ago or any time before that, if you would have asked me, do I want to be an entrepreneur? Absolutely not. It makes me like gets butterflies in my stomach. I get diaphoretic, and I just no, entrepreneurship sounds horrific. I would never want to do that. I want to be a W-2, punch in and out. My work is done. The end. So shockingly, now that I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years, I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a little bit more every day and like learning to get to do new things. And so even though I'm not making a ton of money from this, I couldn't live off of this. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that, is mentally fulfilling to me. I get to help and make connections with other women. All of my clients are women entrepreneurs, and they all just so happen to be moms as well. So I love the connections that I've made. So from that standpoint, it's also been, fulfilling and successful to me. It doesn't make a ton of money, but that again is not also my goal. So that's how much I make every year. And then overhead, I think one of the great things for anyone who might be interested in being a VA is that there's almost zero overhead. When I first started, my first couple of years, I had zero overhead. I didn't have a website. Yeah, so overhead is expenses. I didn't have a website. There's no money that I needed to put into anything. Like people, if you have an email list, you have to have some kind of like email management system to send a million people emails. So you have to pay for that. I didn't have to pay for that. My clients pay for that. If they have, a podcast editing system or something like that, or whatever system they use to invoice their clients, or, I'm selling these products and here's how you have to like go online and pay for the product to be shipped to you. Like you have to pay to have these services set up, but my clients pay for those. I don't pay for them. So yes, I'm using them and whatever I need to do in them, but I'm not paying for them. So when I started, I had zero overhead, zero expenses. Everything to me was pure profit, which was great. So I think that it makes it a very easy access to entry side hustle or business to start because there's no overhead. Since then, I have created a website, which is so simple and like just the most basic thing. Because again, I'm not trying to drive a lot of traffic to my website. At this point, I'm maxed out on the clients I would take. So I'm not looking for it to be anything super robust. But so I pay, I don't even know how much my website and like hosting domain cost me. I don't know, $50 a year, maybe. I don't know. It does sound like something like that. Like it's not much. So I pay for that now for my business. And again, honestly, like, do I really need it?
I've never once gone to your website except for prepping for this podcast episode. I did look at it. But other than that, I've been a client of yours for years and I couldn't have cared less if you had a website. I needed a website, right? I needed you to edit the copy on my website, but I didn't need you to have your own website.
Because a website is one way to get more clients and more business. But for me, I've gotten all my clients through networking and word of mouth. And again, not like the sleazy kind of networking like you're talking about with like jumping in LinkedIn messages and stuff like that, but truly like how we connected, like we just talked about, of just through emails and like, hey, I listened to your podcast and I like the resources that you put out, and like, thanks for what you do. That's how we got started and got connected with my very first VA client, I was in her online community, and that's how we connected, and she knew who I was. Other people, and like from there, I've had other people say, oh, hey, you should talk to Sarah. Sarah would be great to help you in your business. That's why I got my other main client that I have. We got connected in a weird way through that. And I've worked again with her for years. She's connected me through other people. So it's just like these connections and getting to know people. That's how I've got all my clients. So I haven't even had to pay for anything like that.
I would say of all of the startups in terms of startup cost, if you have a laptop and an internet connection and you have one client, you are in business as a virtual assistant. You then, entrepreneurs know other entrepreneurs, like other people on that level know other people on that level. So I would get that one client, I would start working with them. 3 months later, I would say to them, hey, do you know anyone else who needs this? Like, ask for a referral. Ask them if they have anyone else who would need these services. And if they say no, great, go looking. But sometimes they'll say like, oh yeah, my brother, sister, cousin, friend, colleague is also an entrepreneur and is just getting to the point where I was when I needed you. Let me send an email connecting you. This is like, to me, the epitome of I have arrived as an entrepreneur. I have had Sarah send an email introducing Sarah to other entrepreneurs. It's like the most meta task I've ever asked you to do. I'm like, hey, I talked to so-and-so. I interviewed them on the podcast. They're looking for a VA. Can you send an email as me introducing you to her? And you were like, yeah, I can.
Sure, I'll pretend to be you. And that's what I do sometimes.
I literally was like, feel free to tell her how amazing you are in this email from me. And that was great. Like, then you guys had a call, and whether or not you chose to work together, like, fine. But asking for referrals is something we're terrible about as entrepreneurs. Like, I would probably have so many more coaching clients if we sent an email at the beginning of the year to everyone who I worked with last year and said, hey, thanks for working with us. Do you need client services this year? And do you have a friend who's in the same situation, who's burned out, who needs negotiation advice, who's trying to launch a business as a clinician? And can I help them? Can you email introducing me to them?
Yeah, putting yourself out there as an entrepreneur is so hard. Like when you're saying, sale is a 4-letter word. You're trying to sell someone, pitch someone. I've had, because just other like random people that I follow online, and some I'm more active with than others. And there's been a couple of them that have posted random stuff of like, oh my gosh, like I really could use a VA for this. Like, oh geez, we're doing this big thing. Like if only we had extra help. And I thought to myself, like, oh my gosh, do I say something? Like, do I say like, oh, this is what I do? Like the thing you're asking for is something I do, I've done, like I know it. And I'm like, I can't say that to them. And sometimes it's to my husband of like, oh my gosh, so-and-so said they might be looking for something. He's like, well, why did you message them? Did you send them something? And I'm like, no, I can't. He's like, why not? Tell them this is what you do. And it's just it can be so scary to put yourself out there. But I've done it before with both those people. And, sometimes it leads to something, and sometimes like, no, this is not the right fit, or like, but hey, like I've done it. And the more that you do it, the less scary it can still be scary. I feel like every time, at least for me still, but like the more you do it, the less scary it is.
I follow one business coach, Donald Miller, who, is like my favorite. He's like my entrepreneur, like idol. And he describes that as saying like, when someone follows you and then you offer a free download, you're saying to your ideal client, will you go out with me? And they say yes, and they download it. And then you get them on an email series, right? And you're emailing about this, you're emailing about this. And then you send an email, hey, to book a call with me, click here to book a call. And then you're like, will you go out with me again? And then they say, no, not right now, right? And then you continue to email them, you continue to pop up in their inbox, you continue to serve them well, you continue to produce free content. And then you're like, hey, we're doing a mastermind about this, right? We're doing a boot camp about this. We're doing a little free webinar about this. Will you go out with me? And they can decide to say yes or no. And every time you offer them this opportunity to engage with your services, free or paid, you're saying, will you go out with me? And then eventually they say yes to the will you go out with me? And then you do the webinar and you serve them so well. And then you send them an email that's like, will you marry me? Like, will you pay me for the coaching? Because I've been serving you in your inbox every week after week with all of this content. You've been listening to the podcast week after week with this content. And then they're like, yeah, I'll go out with you. And then you're like, will you marry me? And like, think about those things in real life. Like when you're asking someone out, like that's nerve wracking. Like there's a chance they're going to say no. Like if you never ask anyone out, well, you're 100% going to be single, right? Like at least if you ask, there's a chance that they're going to say yes. And it feels like a really big deal to you. And to them, it's like, oh, it's just one more email in their in basket from one other person, and they're going to just scroll right by it. Or if you're speaking to them and they are your ideal client, they're going to open it. It's going to resonate with them. And they're going to say, yeah, I'll go out with you on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. I'll come to your webinar, right? I'll come to your thing. And I would just encourage you to leave your hesitancy and leave your concerns about other people's opinions at the door.
Yeah, that's a great tip for new entrepreneurs or people who are thinking about making the leap. Do I start a side hustle? Do I start something? Just put yourself out there. Like just take that first step. It's going to be scary. It's going to be awkward. You might throw up in your mouth a little bit. Like it's going to feel so weird. I've never done this. But like, when was the first time you took care of a patient? Like I can still vividly remember my first week as a PA working in the hospital. And one of the very first orders I ever did was like adjusting someone's insulin regimen. And I turned around to look for, my preceptor to be like, okay, did I put this order right? And I'm like, there is no preceptor. It's just me. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like, you're ordering insulin for real people. Like, it's the same kind of a thing. You've done that. You can take care of patients. You're ordering meds for them. You're doing surgeries. You're taking care of people's lives. Like it's scary when you first start. And sometimes it's still, you've been practicing for 10 years and it's still a little bit scary, some of those things, which is normal. And I think good. As an entrepreneur, this is something new and something scary, but like, just take that step and you'll figure it out. Like Tracy was saying, like those first emails that we had, her very first freebies she was putting out, like, yeah, they weren't perfect. There was like some grammatical errors in there and stuff, but they're out there. Like the first things I did as a VA, like trying to create my own website, like, what is this? Looks terrible. Like a fourth grader could probably do better than me. Like fourth graders these days could probably do way better. Like, but hey, it's out there. I did it. Like, when you listen to someone's podcast, maybe you've listened, to the PAs in. Now we're up to like 300, almost 400 episodes. Go back to episodes 1, 2, 3. Maybe they're not like the super high quality, but keep going, like keep doing it. So like, yes, today what you're doing like looks awful, sounds awful, like is awkward and weird. But 5 years from now, it'll be so much better because you started today.
And that's what I really want to do with this entrepreneur series. I want this entrepreneur series to be like the preceptors of you running your business, right? I want to get a series of people who are doing all different sorts of things to say, hey, I didn't know what I was doing in medical legal consulting and sales and marketing and these things when I first started. And here's what I figured out. And no one knows the one true path to get from 0 to 6 figures in 10 minutes. That's not how it works. We are all on a ride that is not linear, but here are some of the things that work for me. Here are some of the things that I'm doing. And in that way, all these people can be your preceptors for growing a business. All these people can be the people that say, hey, this is not necessarily what's going to work for you, but this is the way that I do it. And then you as an entrepreneur get to decide which of those things are going to work for you in your business and your life, and then implement them in the starting or scaling or growing of your business.
That is probably leads into what would be my second word of advice, would be find someone who's a few steps ahead of you, whether that truly is like a coach, but even maybe it's just someone that you follow online, you listen to their podcast. Like I did that with Tracy even before we started working together. It was like, hey, I'm like doing this to my business. I'm thinking about that. Like, how did you set this up? Like, how did you make a web? Like, how did you do some of these things? Like, even if it's not an official business coach, but like just someone else, who's in either the space that you're interested in, or again, just like a PA entrepreneur doing whatever, because there is a lot of overlap. There's a whole new lingo to learn of online entrepreneurship, like warm lead, cold lead, SOP, freebie, like a bump offer, like all these things that you don't know, but it's just the same thing. Like you learned all the medical lingo, you can learn these new things, but it's so helpful to have someone hold your hand, guide you, kind of walk you through those initial steps. Like once you get over that fear of like, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to do it. But like, how do I do this first step? Reach out. Yes, reach out to someone. And I would say, I don't know, probably 9.9 times out of 10, the person that you're reaching out to will be so happy to help you. Or like, here's how I got started. here's some of the basic stuff to know. I don't know that I'm sure someone would be mean about it or annoyed or like, I'm too busy. Like maybe you'll but that's not a person you would want to hang out with anyway. So most everyone you reach out to will be so happy to help you. Like they do not be embarrassed to ask for help.
I feel like that about every time a student asks to shadow, right? Like a student cold calls our office and says, hey, is there a PA there that I can shadow? I need hours. I say yes every time. Because someone let me shadow in 2004 in rural Maine in the emergency department. And I am here as an entrepreneur because I virtually stalked / shadowed people, right? I saw what they were doing in their business. I was like, I can do that, right? I could make an email series. I could make a welcome series. I could find a freebie. Like, and sometimes you need to follow someone who's like going to formally tell you how to do that. Like, here's my business coaching program. Like, stay tuned for hours, which is going to come out eventually. But also just start following 3 entrepreneurs who are like adjacent to what you're thinking about doing. Get on their email list, read the copy, see how you feel. Like, are you compelled by the storytelling in their emails? Are you thinking about signing up for their course? Like, well, then look at what they're doing and see what made me want to take action from this email. And can I reverse engineer that in the way that I am marketing, in the way that I am selling, in the way that I am serving people in this space? Just so important. So Sarah, you're full of clients now, but someday this will be airing long from now, and maybe you'll have an opening. So tell people where they can go to learn from you, to follow along, to have you be one of those mentors in this entrepreneurial space, or for them to engage you as their own virtual assistant.
You can find me, probably the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm way more active on there and will answer messages really quickly. So if you want to find me on LinkedIn, it's Sarah Miller, which I know is super popular, but we'll put the link in the show notes. I think my tagline is Sarah Miller, PA-VA, since I'm a VA. So find me on LinkedIn is one of the best places. And then my website is sjmvirtualsolutions.com, or you can email me at sjmvirtualsolutions@gmail.com. I check my email pretty much every day.
Also mine.
Yes. If you need another way,
you can email me and get Sarah. Awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right. Thanks for having me, Tracy.
I have a blast every time we get a chance to connect like this. And I think that this virtual assisting is so great. It's remote. It's low bar to entry. Give it a try. Get a client. See if you like it. If you don't, try something else. Okay. If this episode made you think, wait, I think I could actually do that, I want you to take that nudge seriously. Not because you need a perfectly polished business plan or an LLC or an accountant or a profit and loss sheet. Not because you need a website, a brand photo shoot, or a color palette, but because you just heard a very real example of what it looks like to build an increase in your income and have flexibility to work from home on your time without quitting your PA job or burning your life to the ground. Sarah's story is proof that you don't have to go full-time entrepreneur to be legit, that you don't need a huge audience in order to make real money, and that you can start with the skills you already have as a clinician. Things like communication, problem solving, efficiency, and follow through. If you want to connect with Sarah, we've got her LinkedIn, her website, and email in the show notes. And if she has availability when you're listening, she's absolutely someone that you want on your team. But beware, I am her first client. Just kidding. I'm sure that she will serve you just as well as she serves me. And if you're the person sitting there thinking, I need help building margin, I need a plan, I need to stop doing everything the hard way, that's literally what I do inside my one-on-one and group business coaching. Whether it's negotiating for more pay at work, less call, a better schedule, or if you're ready to finally build that side income stream that doesn't require you to go to the hospital or the office for more hours, you don't have to white knuckle this alone. Make sure you're subscribed to the show so you don't miss the next episode. And if this conversation hit home, send it to a clinician or a friend who's drowning in admin and decision fatigue. Sarah, thank you for coming back, for being the bouncer of my inbox, and for reminding clinicians that entrepreneurship doesn't have to be a circus. It can be simple, it can be sustainable, and it can happen on your terms. That's all for today. This PA is out.
Congratulations, you've just joined an awesome club. By listening to a full episode of The PA is In, you are officially on the Unicorn PA team. Welcome aboard. What most team members do is they subscribe to the podcast because that allows them to automatically get the latest episode of the show. The life of your dreams exists on the other side of taking action. Keep making small shifts and keep getting better. Your life will improve, your career will soar, and you will have the confidence you need to create your own success. I will see you in the next episode. This PA is out.